What is going on, Governor? It's Chisgule here, and today we have exciting news! Jetblade leaked one word and one word only in Discord, the official Rise of Kingdoms Discord. And that, for those of you who don't know, Jetblade is the community manager for Rise of Kingdoms. One of them. Former community manager. There's a new one. Whatever. He was the community manager, and the one word he said. Dropping a bomb, he's like, I'm out. By the way, equipment. If you like Rise of Kingdoms videos where we talk about the latest and greatest news for the game, you should like and subscribe because we bring you that news and we are a sponsored creator with Rise of Kingdoms. My friends, equipment is very likely coming to Rise of Kingdoms. What does that mean for you? We're going to talk about a couple things. First of all, how do we think equipment will work? This is 100% speculation, tinfoil hat on and engaged. How do we think gear will work? How will it be applied to commanders? What will be on that gear? And where do you get it? That's what we're going to talk about. How do we think gear will work? We think that gear will be specific to commanders. Why? Because I think that you ought to be able to customize your commanders. Now, when I say specific to commanders, what I really mean is that, maybe you get a bow, you could put it on Yi Seong-Gye, but not another commander. I hope that they don't make Yi Seong-Gye only gear, right? I hope that it is gear that you can move around from commander to commander. You own it forever. You can equip it, unequip it. That'd be freaking sweet. So I would hope that that is how gear works. You can move it around, and I suspect you can probably upgrade it. We'll talk about that more in a second. Now, what the gear will do, I think, is give you stats. And in my perfect world, they're not boring stats, okay? Boring would be if it was basically like, you've equipped Yi Seong-Gye's bow, and that's all it does, and it's just the bow. I want freaking stats that are randomly generated. I want a bow that maybe gives extra damage, maybe gives freaking march speed, maybe has different levels of rarity, right? And there's all kinds of things you could do with that. You could have rarity levels, you could have star levels, you could have different stats. So a bow could give, I don't know, attack and skill damage and whatever. You can use your range, your skill range. That's a thought, right? Like, the possibilities here are freaking spectacular. The possibilities here are freaking spectacular. So this is what I want, right? That's how I want that to work. I want there to be stats that are either specific to the slot or randomized 100%. I actually think it should be specific to a slot. Like, a helmet should do certain things, a weapon should do certain things, your boots could give you march speed. Or all your gear gives you march speed, right? And so, depending on how they do that, you could customize the heck out of your commanders, which is so exciting. Can you tell how freaking excited I am, right? Because then you could make combinations like, I don't know, Alexander the Great with freaking Charles Martel, and then put all march speed gear on both of them, and just freaking hoof it in Ark of Osiris, right? There's some cool freaking stuff you could do, depending on how they make gear work. Now, gear, if it works that way, would be really interesting. You could potentially have gear sets where when you change your talent spec, you change your gear set, because that would be logical, right? And I think there's the possibility that they add a little building to the town. I hope they do. I sure hope they do. Maybe not in their first release of it, but I hope they eventually do this. Ye old blacksmith, baby. I want a blacksmith in the town, a building that I can upgrade. Speaking of things I can upgrade, I'm not training troops. Lol, get that going. A building I can upgrade, and I use my blacksmith to upgrade the star level of gear. I use the blacksmith maybe to craft gear. Oh my god, they might introduce crafting. Oh jeez, my head is exploding. They could introduce crafting. It could happen. It could happen, right? Take two junky pieces of gear and smash them together, and you might get a decent piece of gear. Yeah, blacksmith. I hope it's real. Oh my goodness, and it just occurred to me. I mean, I just keep thinking of this stuff, but potentially you could, if there was a blacksmith, you might have to research. They could add. Oh no! Stop it! They could add a whole line. They could add an equipment line to the research, and you could research different types of equipment to make. The possibilities. My head is exploding with possibilities. Best freaking leak ever. I'm so far off into Chisgule's making this upland right now, right? But gear, we know. Equipment is the word we know, right? But I'd make another building. It's been too long since we got a new building. That would be such a freaking sweet expansion. So blacksmith, right? And you'd have all kinds of stuff you do in the blacksmith with gear. Oh my gosh, you could have gear sets too. You could have gear sets, and you could have gear that's craftable only when you do certain things, like, oh my gosh, you could get special crafting items from winning certain events. Oh my gosh. Y'all, my head is exploding with possibilities right now. My head is freaking exploding with the excellence of the possibilities. Now, there's a bunch of obvious ways to get gear, like maybe from killing barbarians, or maybe like when you kill the barbarians, you get crafting materials more likely, and maybe you get gear, but like, oh my gosh, rare gear and like the loot, the freaking loot random number generator has me so giddy and excitement about what this could be, right? Where else might loot show up? I would bet money. I would bet freaking money that it shows up in these chests over here. I would bet money that loot shows up, equipment shows up in these chests over here. It gets added to the loot table. Slam freaking dunk that. Slam dunk it. And if not there, then like, I don't know, maybe there's stuff to upgrade your gear, right? It shows up in those loot tables. It just seems so likely to me that it hits the reward list. Right? Like you get commander sculptures, you get stars, you get food, you get speed ups, experience, and gear. That would make gold keys so good. That would make gold keys so amazing. If you could get like legendary gear from a gold key, oh my gosh. I hope they don't make gear that's like you must have legendary gear to be on a legendary commander, and like you must have epic gear to have on an epic commander. Because like I just want generic gear that can go anywhere and is not like bind on equip and you can never put it anywhere else. I want to accumulate gear over time that is my personal collection. It's like my stamp collection. I collected stamps when I was a little kid. I was like a little kid because my grandpa collected stamps and whatever. Off topic. So collecting is what makes this game fun for me in part. Okay. So if you could be collecting this gear and over time refining your collection, making sets of gear, combinations of things that are awesome. I mentioned earlier that I thought gear sets would be a cool idea, as in like predetermined sets, and I think that would be marginally okay. I still think it's cooler if the most optimal thing to do is to like make your own really compelling combinations where it's like, boom, I got my march speed set, or I got my attack skill attack set, or I have my like normal damage set or my counter attack set, right? Like, oh my gosh, I think that'd be so fun to be creating those and gathering that stuff. I all but guarantee. I just would be so shocked if they don't give you a way to like star up your gear. Like they'll have legendary gear 1 stars to 5 stars or 1 stars to 6 stars because I guess that aligns with how this works, right? I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. Okay. I've tinfoil hatted a lot here. That was a lot of tinfoil hat. All we know is the one word equipment. That's all we actually know. When will this come is a great question. It's probably very far away. Do I want equipment to come in the middle of Ark of Osiris League? No. As much as I think equipment would be cool, I feel like that sort of offsets the balance of like we've got this competitive event that's like brewing up for a long time, and I don't know, I mean, I guess everybody has equal access. Okay, let me actually rephrase that. If everyone participating has equal access to gear, or I guess the word is equipment, then I think it'd be okay-ish to introduce in the middle of, you know, the entire Ark of Osiris League. The thing I'm struggling with about that is that we've got this like super competitive event, and you could be changing the meta in the middle of this hyper competitive competition. I would hope that if they did something like that, they do it. I I mean, like, the whole point of, like, the preseason is to, like, work out the kinks and, how stuff works and your rosters and your combos and, who's rallying what and when and all that sort of good stuff. So I would hope they don't, like, chunk it down, like, right in the middle of that, even though I want equipment as soon as possible. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna complain. Um, I kinda want that competition to really, like, play out without a massive meta shift in the middle of the competition. But maybe after, like, I don't know, however many weeks of of Osiris that is, we'll all be really wanting a big meta shift, and that'll feel really interesting. I can see a lot of value to that, actually, seeing the meta like totally flop, right before the final brackets. And man, I can't think of a more smart strategy to get people to spend a ridiculous amount of money. Would I spend out? Would I spend out to rock some sweet gear for Ark of Osiris League? Of course I would. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on now. Come on. This is the thing that I feel like the game is really needed is honestly the equipment. Because there's only so much you can do to customize what you're doing on the battlefield, and this makes your commanders uniquely yours. I love this. I love this. P.S. If there was another place I was going to be putting gear, totally in the Mysterious Merchant, totally. And if it's crafted gear, crafting components, right here. I'm pointing the shop, not the lady. Come on. In the shop. PPS. Oh my gosh, they could also put gear in the metal store. That would be so good. That would be so good if they put gear in the metal store. I seriously need a use for these medals. I can't spend them fast enough, and as soon as I have this Commander Max, I'm going to be back to accumulating ridiculous amounts of these medals. Oh, gear should so go here. Gear or crafting materials. Mm-hmm. Yes, please. My friends, I hope you found this video entertaining. We really went like way off in our imagining of what this could be. It could be just as simple as like, you found Richard's crown. Equip the crown, and like you get some stats, and that's it. It could be that simple. But like, come on, Lilith. Hook it up. Give us something sweet and customizable, baby. Let me know in the comments. How is equipment going to work? What are your thoughts? We're all speculating now. No one knows for sure. Like and subscribe, and until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.